I'm a barber. For over 20 years at this worn chair under the golden glow and sharp blade, I've heard countless true stories, some joyful, some heartbreaking, some straight out of a novel. My clients don't just come for a haircut or shave. Often they come to wash away the heaviest burdens in their hearts. With their permission, today I'm sharing one such story. The names have been changed, but the emotions are real. The cuts in their souls, sharp as the razor I wield daily. This story is about Grayson Cole, a tech billionaire who once stood at Silicon Valley's pinnacle. He was the golden face of innovation, holding a project that could reshape humanity's future. But a cryptic whisper from an anonymous janitor during a product launch night dragged him into a whirlwind of betrayal, conspiracy, and a silent war that could topple the empire he'd built. I still remember the day he sat in my chair. His bespoke suit was flawless, but his face was weary. When I asked, he said just one thing. I was saved by someone I thought had nothing to give. And so he told his tale. Slowly, clearly, each word a precise slice into memory. Today, I invite you to hear it from the man himself. The stage lights of San Francisco's Moscone Center blazed, turning the podium into an island of power. Below, hundreds of investors, tech journalists, and rivals held their breath. Behind, a massive LED screen glowed with the Helios Dynamics logo. At the center of it all stood Grayson Cole. He was Silicon Valley's uncrowned king, a genius with eyes sharp as a razor who turned a garage idea into a tech empire worth hundreds of billions. Tonight, he was set to unveil Project Chimera, a breakthrough to change the world again. Everything was perfect. A custom-tailored suit, impeccably styled hair, and on the oak podium, a glass of pure water placed to soothe his throat during the fateful speech. A small, harmless detail. But in Grayson's world, nothing was harmless. As he prepared to step up, a janitor quietly glided by to wipe the podium one last time. A woman in a gray uniform, hair neatly pinned, a face no one noticed amid a sea of VIPs. As she passed, she didn't look up. A whisper slipped from her lips, icy and urgent, just loud enough for him alone to hear over the welcoming applause. The glass on the podium. Don't drink. Grayson froze for a millisecond, his polite smile unwavering. He meant to dismiss it as the ramble of an overworked staffer, but then she added, her voice steady, each word like shattered glass. It's not poison. It's worse. With that, she melted into the shadows of the stage wings, vanishing as if she'd never been. Worse than poison? What? A hallucinogen? A digital virus in liquid form? Or something to turn his greatest speech into the world's most humiliating collapse? Would you trust a warning from a nobody? Especially when you're on top of the world? Silicon Valley isn't just built on code and dreams. It's forged in envy, ambition, and secrets that can raise an empire overnight. In today's video, we won't just watch a juicy boardroom conspiracy. We'll witness the journey of the most powerful man who could see through billion-dollar deals but was blind to the danger beside him. We'll follow his hunt for a digital ghost, the woman who saved his life then vanished without a trace. We'll unravel a web of betrayal spun by those he trusted most. And we'll see an unlikely alliance form between two opposites, a tech king and someone cast out by the system he rules. This story forces us to answer. In a world priced by stocks and power, how much is a stranger's trust worth? Brace yourself, because the glass tower's doors are opening, and what's hidden inside will make you think. The story of Grayson Cole and the ghost who warned him starts now. On stage, Grayson Cole didn't flinch. To the world, he was still a king, a tech titan. He smiled, nodded at the applause, and launched into his speech flawlessly, without a hint of hesitation. He never touched the glass of water. He wielded his confidence and authority like a shield, masking the storm raging inside. He spoke of the future, innovation, Project Chimera, while his mind fixated on a single whisper. It's worse. The moment he stepped into the wings, the perfect mask fell. His face turned ice cold. David, his head of security, a burly man with a loyal expression, stood waiting. David, Grayson ordered, his voice low and sharp. That glass, no one touches it. Get it tested now. I want results in an hour. David nodded, asking no questions, and carefully sealed the glass. Grayson stood amid the chaos of the tech crew striking the stage, yet felt utterly alone. Who? Why? And most crucially, who was that woman? He issued another command to a separate team. Find the janitor who cleaned the podium just before I went on. I need to talk to her. 57 minutes later, Grayson sat in his temporary office at the convention center, gazing at San Francisco Bay's twinkling lights. His tablet buzzed with a report from an independent lab. He opened it. The results sent a chill down his spine. Analysis: low-dose tetrodotoxin blended with an unidentified neuroagent. Effect: facial paralysis and localized seizures within 5 to 10 minutes of ingestion. Non-lethal at this dose, but external symptoms mimic a severe stroke or cerebral event. Grayson's fists clenched. This wasn't meant to kill him. It was designed to destroy him, to turn Grayson Cole, the symbol of control and power, into a pitiable wreck collapsing on stage before the world. It was a reputation assassination, crueler and more effective than any bullet. Just then, David entered, his face uneasy. "Sir, we've got a problem. We can't find her." "Can't find her?" "An employee doesn't just vanish," Grayson growled. "That's the issue, sir. There's no record of her. The third-party cleaning company says she was a temp, paid in cash, worked 2 days. Her name's listed as Maya Lin, but when we checked, that name doesn't exist. No social security, no driver's license, no bank account. 0 digital footprint, like she's a ghost." That night, in his lavish penthouse overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, the silence was more terrifying than noise. Victoria Sterling, his fiancée, swept in, wearing an emerald silk dress. She placed a practiced light kiss on his cheek. "Great launch, darling," she said, her voice smooth as velvet. "You seem tense, though. You didn't even take a sip of water." Grayson studied her, searching for a crack in her perfect facade. "Victoria, I want to talk about the security breach on Project Chimera. Looks like there were unauthorized server accesses in R&D last week." Victoria laughed, a light, melodic sound. "Oh, Grayson, it's just a server glitch. My team's on it. Don't stress over technical details. Leave that to me." She adjusted his tie. "You just focus on being the face of the empire." Her answer was too quick, too slick. It didn't ease Grayson's mind. It deepened his suspicion. The moment she left, he called David. "Forget the janitor," he ordered. "Focus on the breach. Investigate every access to the R&D servers in the past month. Use whatever resources you need. And David, keep this from the COO." His cybersecurity team worked through the night, digging through firewalls and complex encryption layers. At 3 a.m., they found something. Not on active servers, but on a long decommissioned hard drive. A single file, heavily encrypted and corrupted, nearly unreadable, just a few kilobytes. A digital fragment in a data ocean. But its name was intact. Project Nightingale. When experts tried to recover the damaged metadata, a name emerged from the glitched code, faint as a ghost. Maya Lin. Same digital signature. Same cyber fingerprint. Grayson stood in his darkened office, staring at the screen. He had 2 ghosts now. A woman who saved his life tonight, and a mysterious project she'd been part of. He didn't know how they connected, but the instinct of a man once betrayed told him this wasn't coincidence. It was the echo of a conspiracy that began long ago. The names Maya Lin and Project Nightingale haunted Grayson in the days that followed. He felt like he was teetering on the edge of a colossal secret, but every path led to a dead end. He ordered David and his team to keep digging into the corrupted file, desperate to recover even a sliver of data, but they hit nothing but garbled code. The ghost remained a ghost. The stalemate made him more vigilant than ever. He began noticing small things. Victoria answering calls in a different tone when she thought he wasn't listening. A chance meeting with a board member she lied about as a spa visit. Work emails encrypted unnecessarily. Her perfect facade started showing cracks, and Grayson, with a predator's eye, missed nothing. On a tense Thursday evening, after an exhausting meeting, Grayson returned to the multi-level parking garage at Helios headquarters. The vast, empty space echoed with his footsteps on cold concrete. As he neared his car, a voice cut through from behind a massive pillar, low and clear. A voice he recognized instantly. "You're getting too close to a hornet's nest, Mr. Cole." Grayson spun around. Maya Lin stood there, no longer in a janitor's uniform but a simple black jacket and jeans. She wasn't a faint shadow anymore. She was a resolute presence. Her eyes, under the flickering fluorescent lights of the garage, met his without fear. "I've been looking for you," Grayson said, his voice steady. "I know," Maya replied. "That's why I'm here. To tell you to stop. The deeper you dig, the bigger the hole you're digging for yourself. What do you know about this?" Enough to know you're up against people who don't play by rules. The ones who erased me from existence won't hesitate to do the same to you, CEO or not. To them, you're just a replaceable number on a balance sheet. Grayson stepped closer. I can protect you. A new identity, money, anything you want. Just tell me the truth. Maya shook her head, a bitter smile flickering. Your protection's only good as long as you have power, and you're about to lose it. You think that glass was just a warning? No, it was a test. Next time, they won't fail. She stepped back into the shadows. I've warned you. That's all I can do. The rest is up to you. With that, she turned and vanished behind the rows of cars, as swiftly as she'd appeared, leaving Grayson alone with her chilling warning and a flood of new questions. Maya's words didn't deter him. If anything, they confirmed he was on the right track. They also gave him a new lead. His enemy and hers were the same. He returned to his office, summoned David, and issued a new order. I don't care what the R&D breach was anymore, he said. I want to know where the data went. Trace the money. Track shell companies, offshore servers. Find the end recipient. The investigation shifted. Grayson's team stopped patching a leak. They were now tracking a theft. After 3 relentless days and nights, they had results. The stolen Chimera R&D data had been funneled through a complex chain of shell companies, ending at a venture capital firm called Argent Ventures. The name meant little. But when Grayson ordered a check on its leadership, his heart stopped. The founder and majority shareholder was Damian Stryker, a powerful investor, an old family friend, and one of Victoria Sterling's closest advisors. That wasn't the worst part. With a chilling hunch, Grayson had David cross-reference Damian Stryker with what they had on Project Nightingale. Minutes later, the results flashed on the screen. Damian Stryker, the man who signed the final government report recommending the indefinite freeze of the Nightingale investigation and the permanent suspension of its lead analyst, Maya Lin, for mental instability and evidence tampering. Grayson's mind reeled. His fiancée, her trusted mentor, the security breach, the failed poisoning, a vanished analyst. These weren't isolated events. They were links in a single chain, a meticulously planned conspiracy to eliminate anyone in the way. He realized the attack on him wasn't just about seizing his company. It was the next step in a larger scheme, one that had claimed Maya Lin as its first victim. The woman he was set to marry was colluding with the same people who destroyed the life of the woman who saved his. This raw, bitter truth hurt more than any poison ever could. The truth didn't hit Grayson Cole like a thunderbolt. It crept over his heart like a thin layer of ice. The world he'd built, founded on logic, control, and selective trust, now felt like a farce. His fiancée, the woman he'd planned to share his future with, was part of a dark past that ruined the life of the woman who saved his. The betrayal was structured, systematic, and so ruthless it left him breathless. He couldn't trust anyone in his inner circle. Every board member, every business partner was now a potential suspect. Alone in his sprawling penthouse, its glass walls overlooking a sleepless city, he'd never felt so isolated, so powerless. He had wealth, influence, but he was fighting ghosts. And he realized, to battle a ghost, he needed another. Finding Maya Lin this time couldn't rely on conventional methods. He couldn't use his security team or Helios's tech to track her. That would make him no better than those who hunted her. He had to do it himself, think like her. She was a fugitive, a cybersecurity expert. Where would she hide? Not a 5-star hotel, not a trendy cafe, somewhere anonymous, with access to information but no digital trace. A public library. The next day, Grayson Cole, in a gray hoodie and jeans, entered the San Francisco Public Library. He passed towering bookshelves, heading to the secluded public computer area. And there she was. Maya Lin sat back straight, eyes locked on a screen, her fingers dancing across the keyboard with a professional speed and precision. She wasn't reading news or scrolling social media. She was analyzing code, flicking between black windows filled with cryptic characters. Grayson approached, quietly taking the seat across from her. Maya didn't look up, but her fingers stilled. I told you to stop, she said, her voice flat. I can't, Grayson replied, his tone low, weary. Because your enemy is mine. Now Maya raised her eyes, wary. Grayson slid a slim tablet across the table. Its screen displayed a complex web linking Helios Dynamics, Victoria Sterling, Argent Ventures, and the name Damian Stryker. At the end was a copy of the corrupted file. Project Nightingale. Victoria's funneling data to Stryker, Grayson said bluntly, and Stryker's the one who signed your suspension. The attempt to poison me wasn't a one-off. It's the next step in their plan. Maya stared at the diagram, her face expressionless, but Grayson saw her hand clench under the table. The silence stretched. Why should I trust you? She finally asked. Your world crushed me. You're its king. Because I've been betrayed too, Grayson said, letting his hurt seep into his voice for the first time. Because I blindly believed a polished lie. And because you saved me when you had no reason to. Now it's my turn. He met her gaze. I'm not here to hire you, Maya. I'm here to propose an alliance. You have the skills, I have the resources. Together, we can take them all down. I'll help you reclaim your name, and you help me save what's left of mine. Maya leaned back, her eyes distant, weighing past and future. Grayson's offer was tempting, but trust was a luxury she'd long abandoned. Yet, looking into his eyes, she didn't see a CEO's arrogance, just the exhaustion of a fellow betrayed. What's the plan? She asked, and that was her answer. A faint smile, the first of relief, crossed Grayson's lips. The tension between them shifted to intense focus. Victoria and Stryker want Chimera's data, he said, so we'll give it to them, but not the real data. A digital trap, Maya added, her eyes glinting with a chess master's calculation. A honeypot. We'll craft fake data, make it look invaluable with hidden malware. When they access it, we'll own their systems. I'll play along with Victoria, Grayson outlined. I'll agree to fast-track the merger with Argent Ventures. That'll make them drop their guard, act faster, sloppier. They sat there amid silent bookshelves, two people from opposite worlds plotting a counterstrike. No longer CEO and janitor, they were warriors, survivors, gearing up for a final battle. Let's do this, Grayson said. Maya nodded, a spark of resolve flashing in her eyes. They won't know what hit them. The weeks that followed were a masterclass in deception. To the tech world, Grayson Cole seemed to have accepted his fate. He showed up to meetings looking weary, nodding at Victoria's proposals he'd once fiercely opposed. He greenlit the strategic merger with Argent Ventures, a move analysts called a disguised surrender. Victoria Sterling was at the peak of her power. She strode through Helios Dynamics halls like a queen, a triumphant smile always on her lips, convinced Grayson was a toothless old lion. She had no idea that, in the city's shadows, in a public library and anonymous cafes, another lion was sharpening its claws. Maya Lin, backed by Grayson's near-limitless resources, worked tirelessly. She was a ghost gliding through the toughest firewalls, a hunter tracking digital trails. She decrypted emails, recovered deleted files, and most crucially, set her trap, a fake Chimera dataset laced with sophisticated malware waiting for its prey. And then the day arrived. The grand lobby of San Francisco's St. Regis Hotel was packed. A sea of cameras, relentless flashes. This was the press conference to announce the deal of the century. Victoria Sterling stood at the center of attention, radiant in a bold red dress. She was the evening star. Grayson stood beside her, quiet, playing the supportive partner. And now the host boomed. Please welcome Helios Dynamics CEO, Mr. Grayson Cole, COO, Ms. Victoria Sterling, and Argent Ventures founder, Mr. Damian Stryker, to the stage to sign this historic agreement. Thunderous applause. Victoria ascended, beaming. Grayson followed. At the podium, he didn't glance at the prepared contract. He looked straight into the crowd. Good evening, he began, his voice eerily calm. Before we talk about a shared future, let's examine some truths about the present. Victoria's brow furrowed, a flicker of unease. Damian Stryker kept his confident mask. The massive LED screen behind them abruptly dropped the company's logos. In their place, an enlarged email appeared. This is an email sent from Miss Sterling's personal server to Mr. Stryker, Grayson said, his voice a hammer striking the room's silence. It discusses how to manipulate Helios's stock price right after the merger announcement. The room held its breath. Victoria's face drained of color. Grayson, what the hell are you doing? She hissed. Grayson ignored her. He signaled, and the screen shifted to a complex money trail showing millions funneled from a Helios subsidiary to a shell company controlled by Argent Ventures. And this is how they paid for stolen R&D data from our own company. The room's murmurs erupted into chaos. Reporters typed frantically. Stryker bolted upright, heading for the exit, but two men in dark suits quietly blocked the door. But that's not all, Grayson continued, his voice now ice cold. He stared at Stryker. "Mr. Stryker, do you recognize this project?" The screen changed again. The file name Project Nightingale appeared, alongside a short recovered audio clip. Stryker's voice from 5 years ago filled the room. "That analyst is too dangerous. She knows too much. Handle Maya Lin immediately. Erase everything. Make her cease to exist." The final blow landed. Victoria's perfect mask shattered, leaving only panic and rage. "You have no proof." She screamed. "Oh, I do," Grayson replied. "And the one who provided it is right here." From the shadows of the wings, Maya Lin stepped out, still in her simple black jacket. She didn't look at Victoria or Stryker. She locked eyes with Grayson, giving a slight, meaningful nod. That was the signal. The auditorium's main doors swung open. FBI agents strode in. "Victoria Sterling, Damian Stryker, you're under arrest for securities fraud, industrial espionage, and conspiracy to obstruct justice." Amid the utter pandemonium, as handcuffs clicked onto Victoria's wrists, Grayson stood alone on the stage. He'd won. He'd exposed them all. He glanced back at the wings where Maya had stood to share this moment. But she was gone. He quickly checked his phone. An encrypted message had arrived, set to self-destruct in 60 seconds. Just one line. "The truth is out. My part's done. Stay safe." The message vanished. Grayson stood there, amid the wreckage of his old empire and life. He'd won the battle, but felt emptier than ever. He'd reclaimed his company, but lost the only ally he truly trusted. At the height of victory, he was, once again, utterly alone. The media storm that followed was an earthquake. Grayson Cole and Helios Dynamics dominated every headline. He was hailed as a decisive leader, a genius who'd purged corruption with surgical precision. The stock price, after an initial shock, stabilized and climbed as investors rallied behind his steadfast leadership. He'd won. He'd reclaimed total control. He stood atop the empire he'd built, safer and more untouchable than ever. But in his lavish penthouse overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge, Grayson had never felt so hollow. The silence in the apartment was oppressive. He wandered through vast rooms, once alive with fiery debates with Victoria, now echoing with a strange void. He sat in board meetings, hearing strategies and billion-dollar figures, but his mind was elsewhere. He thought of a public library, a dimly lit parking garage, the calm yet pain-filled eyes of a woman whose real name he didn't even know. He'd conquered the world, but lost the one person who made it matter. He faced a bitter truth. Running Helios Dynamics was no longer his purpose. The battle he just fought had changed him forever. He wasn't driven to build taller towers. He wanted to build something to protect people like Maya. A week after the fateful press conference, Grayson called an emergency board meeting. He entered not as a king reclaiming his throne, but with the serenity of a man who'd made his final choice. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his voice clear and resolute. "Effective today, I'm stepping down as CEO of Helios Dynamics." The room reeled. "I'll sell most of my shares," he continued, ignoring the stunned whispers, "and all proceeds will fund a nonprofit foundation, one dedicated to providing legal support and protection for whistleblowers in both public and private sectors, people who dared speak the truth and were crushed by the system." He didn't say the foundation was for her. He didn't need to. It was atonement, gratitude, and his new mission. After leaving the glass tower for the last time, Grayson had one goal: find Maya. She was a ghost, but no ghost is perfect. He knew she'd left him a trail, not in her message, but in her actions. He returned to his cybersecurity room, not as CEO, but as a client. He asked them to reanalyze everything Maya had done to help him, and they found it. A tiny trace, an anomalous DNS query routed through a public server in another city, a clue only another cybersecurity expert would spot. It was a wordless message, a coded path. Destination, Seattle. Grayson didn't take a private jet. He booked a commercial flight, carrying just a backpack. He left San Francisco, its glass towers and polished lies behind, to chase a simpler truth. After 2 days of searching, he found it. Not a tech firm or security office, but a small library in a quiet neighborhood, its wooden sign reading, "Open Source Collective, free community space for creativity and tech." He stepped inside. The space buzzed with natural light, the clack of keyboards, and kids whispering about coding projects. At the far end, patiently guiding a young girl through her first line of code, was Maya Lin. She wore a simple gray sweater, her hair loose over her shoulders, a gentle, serene smile on her lips, a smile Grayson had never seen before. She looked up, as if sensing him. Their eyes met across the room. No surprise, just a quiet recognition, as if this meeting was inevitable. She finished her lesson and walked toward him. They stepped outside, standing under the awning as a light rain began to fall. "You found me," Maya said, not a question. "You left a trail," Grayson replied. Their silence wasn't tense, but oddly comfortable. "I left Helios," Grayson said. "I started a foundation to help people like you." Maya studied him, her eyes flickering with complex emotion. "Why? Because I spent my life building an empire, but you taught me that rebuilding a person's trust matters more," he said, his voice sincere. "I'm not here to ask you for anything. I just wanted to say thank you, and to ask if I could learn to build something from scratch like you have." Maya gazed at him for a long moment, then at the rain. "I ran for so long," she said softly. "I thought the safest place was where no one knew me. But maybe the safest place isn't a hideout, but beside someone who understands why you had to run." She turned back and for the first time extended her hand. "We're short of network tech here. Pay's not great." Grayson smiled, a genuine, unguarded smile. He took her hand. "I'm in." They didn't speak of love or distant futures. They just stood there, two people betrayed by their worlds, finding a new beginning in the quiet of a rain. True power, they realized, isn't what you possess. It's what you're willing to give up for someone's trust. And that's a truth worth more than any empire.